Shocked it's even working. As soon as I sat down and got comfortable and started wrapping presents, see, and relaxing, my phone finally started working. So let me explain a little bit about my service so you guys understand why live streaming's been so tough. But come the end of the weekend, things will smooth back out. Sorry, I'm loading up my computer too. We're gonna do it the opposite. A lot of times I do the emails off the phone and then stream off the computer. Well, this time we're gonna use the phone and then do the emails off the computer. Hey, Beanie! And this is a really good way for me to actually, in the future, play the videos and you guys get to see them on a larger screen. Service here. Let me explain real quick for any of you that watch. I finally got my service to work earlier, and I go and look, and Christ X Star was asking, like, are you going to live stream finally? And I was like, my service. So at first, I thought it was an issue with my actual service. But what I found out today at the Thanksgiving party thing they did was that we live in a tourist town. Yeah, I tell everybody Lake Havasu because I live around Lake Havasu. I live in a tourist city. When holidays come up, and so we can be prepared for this in the future, Labor Day, Memorial Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, 4th of July, we have serious service interruptions here. And one of the reasons for that is the fact that so many people come into town. Generally, we're not a big town, not a lot of people, just a few cell towers, and it does fine. Everybody's fine. But when everybody, hey Tarcesia, when everybody comes into town, hey Emma, we love you, thank you, I'm so happy to see you there. Oh, here's your big hug. You're getting one. When people come into town like this, it just overwhelms the service. So I mentioned to someone else that's lived here for over 20 years, I said, my phone only works right now around 5 or 6 a.m. and then like after 9:30, 10:30 at night. And she was like, exactly. She's like, she goes, and you know, weekends are kind of rough around here, but never been this bad. But we have beautiful weather here. As you can see, I'm in my tank top. I was talking to Diana earlier on the phone, and she says, do you guys ever get cold there, you know, in Arizona? Because it seems like you guys live in summertime. And I'm like, we're cold right now. As far as we are concerned, it's freezing here right now. But it's not. The temperature is, look, it was, it was 86 today. And our low has been like 58. What's up, Asher? Good to see you. Good to see all of you. So I will still be going live Tuesday, like usual. Or, wait a minute. I keep thinking it's the weekend. I'll still be going live tomorrow night for, but I'm concerned. So that's Have Thank You Beanie's got the GoFundMe up. I'll explain that in a minute. That's part of why I'm sneaking in this live stream now. Tomorrow and through the weekend, things are going to get really crazy around here. There's already been, like, people shooting off guns all weekend and people fly, like, you'll see, like, entire families. So where usually you'll see one or two people on dirt bikes, four-wheelers, or a side-by-side or a sandrail. For those of you that don't know, that's a big, like, car-like off-road vehicle. Usually you'll see one or two. Right now, it's like a whole ass family. Like, there'll be, I heard one person driving by playing the stereo on their side by side, and four children following them on quads. Hey, Kupak. And then another person, it's like fleets of them. So, yeah, school break has got me like, what day is it? I know, I'm screwed. Hey, Kitty, good to see you. So yeah, service is going to be super sketchy here for a minute. How convenient on my way to work and not wasting the night away. Maybe I'm going to listen at work. Awesome. Well, that's good. I'm worried about Fuck Fluffy Fridays at 5 tomorrow because 5 p.m. is not a good time for streaming. There are so many people in town right now, so the service just has not been there. So, wanted to prepare everybody. If I'm not there right at 5, then there's a chance I'll be doing it at around this time of night tomorrow because I just don't have the service. And when I say I don't have the service, I mean that in every sense of the word. I can't get new emails. When I send you guys a text message, like I was trying to text Beanie earlier, I was texting with Chef, I was texting with Vox. I have to like walk around the house and there's the little like bar that goes like, you know, to tell you if your message is loading. That's how fucking bad the service is here right now. I can't get anything done I need to get done. I was literally like outside standing in one little spot, okay, trying to send one message. Did you not hear what I just said, Joseph? I'm not getting any emails. I'm not even getting text messages. I have to like stand in one spot and pray to the cell phone towers. Hey, AZ Oliver, good to see you. I have to like pray to the cell phone towers. So I'm going to edit these videos, but I'm going to edit them after everyone leaves town after Monday. So let's touch on a couple topics like that, like the fact none of these videos are going to be edited, okay? So they'll all be edited afterward. And let's all bitch for a second together, shall we? I usually discourage a lot of bitching, but the dogs over the holidays. What few messages I have been able to get, one of them from Z Oliver, complaining about dogs during the holidays. There's always someone in the family that has to bring their dog. There's always a dog at the person's house. My interaction, and let's bitch together, you dorks. My interaction today off rip, you know, my son and I, we do a lot of walking, you know, single mom status. We'll get into a little bit about my life here in a minute. We were walking back and forth to the gas station today, and a dog ran out right at us, growling and barking. We can't even walk down the road. And as I said earlier, I've been very stressed out. There's been a lot of shit going on in my life. So rather than chew this person out, which is what I really wanted to do, I literally out loud to this person went, that's all I did. I knew if I opened my mouth, I was going to say 1,000 things. I don't need to say anything. I'm not going to take all of my stresses out on this one person. There was one dog around today at the Thanksgiving thing that we went to. Fortunately, I always do the allergy thing. Hey, Shamina, good to see you. Happy Turkey Day to everybody. So, you know, I just like, William, stay away from it. You got allergies, you know, I bring him over this way. Dogs seem to cause a lot of problems, as we all know. Let's dork together, bitches. I love it. I love it. Dogs, man, causing so many problems. They have been barking like crazy. That's another thing with this whole service interruption and that many people being in town. The dogs are just nonstop. And like where one neighbor had like 1 or 2 dogs, now all their family members are in town and have all their dogs. So let's have like a little personal bitch for a minute. I don't know. Fuck Fluffy. I can say it now. William's in bed. I don't know how many other people are like me and you either don't have family or you don't live near them. So when it comes to these holidays and stuff, it's really easy to kind of get wrapped up in it. It's like, geez, I'm surrounded by dogs and other people's families. William and I are like walking up and down the road and there's just all these people with dogs. She says, my nephew said he's looking forward to getting a dog tongue at dinner. Fuck Fluffy. A dog tonight at dinner. Great. Woohoo. I know a couple people who have recently dealt with family members getting dogs, and I'm not going to out them because it fucking sucks. It's scary. We worry about the younger people in our family, the children that can't defend themselves, the money that gets spent on them, the time that a dog just takes away from children is unreal. So it's been like a non-stop thing. Hey, Sats, I just mentioned you. I said, Christ X Star is asking me, you're going to go live. Well, I haven't had the service. So after I messaged you and I realized I was actually able to get your message, I went, let me go see if I can go live. And I was able to. So We gotta squeeze these in while we can. So like I said, fuck Fluffy, Fridays at 5, might be at 10 tomorrow. Just depends on the service. And everyone's gonna be here in town until at least Monday. Sunday, Monday. So my service will go back to normal then. And I see. It's kind of nonstop right now with everybody in town. I have family close, but Emily and I stayed home. Horse-sized dogs over there. I've heard this from a few people, like, I just avoided going to someone's house because of the dogs. I talked to another one of our group members that lost some friends this past week over dogs. And they can out themselves if they want. They're here right now in the chat, but I'm not going to out them. But I will tell their story. This person has a selection of friends and had gone on vacation, and they expected her, even though they already know she has a phobia or a fear and OCD of dogs, and expected her to stay at these people's house with a very large dog, whereas to my understanding she would have to sleep on the floor. So it's already where the dog walks around, spreads its feces and disgusting behavior on the floor. Sleep down there and wait for this thing to possibly try to mount you or bite you or hurt you. And when she refused and also offered to drive, she was basically pushed out of her friend circle at the end of the day, and they weren't even like really planning on telling her why. She could just tell there was an attitude, and she went to address it and say like, hey, what's going on? Are you upset with me? And they were like, yeah, we are. Like, you know, and basically this is all just because she was uncomfortable. I look at this like you would with someone that has like an alcoholism problem. If you know you have a good friend that has an issue with alcohol, you're not going to take them on a road trip and then say, hey, you've got to stay at this house where these people drink nonstop. See, Z Oliver. So I can't believe it was Z Oliver. She just called herself out. So yeah, we're really sorry that this happened to you. This would be like, you know, taking this person and saying, hey, you have to go stay at this person's house that drinks all the time. Hey, Indica, good to see you. You know, whether I was just talking about a booze related thing, actually. It was a stressful trip, and it was hard enough to travel with people. Exactly. It's already hard enough and anxiety inducing to be in close proximity with others. Okay? Yeah, what do you expect from dog nuts? Exactly, Kenny. And then, you know, you tell that person, oh, what about someone that, you know, has allergies? Oh, now are you still a dick for not wanting to be around these things? And to be honest, I've gotten that from people. And I tell people, like, oh, William's got allergies. He can't be near your dog. They get upset. As if I have just punched them in the head. As if it's my fault that my son has this fucking problem. Okay, this is crazy. So I think I agree with Kenny. What do you expect from dog nuts? So, real quick, before we get into some emails, because I have a few I want to cover, and some that have been translated for me. A Norwegian dog hater sent me a couple articles from her area and translated them for me, which I'm so appreciative of. The translations help so much, especially in these dire times of not having service. Just found this. Well, Christian, we just went on. That's what I was saying. I have tremendously bad service right now with everybody in town. That's what I get for living in a tourist city. And so that everybody's in town for the holidays and our shit is not working. It's like a really dangerous time. It's well known around here too. Don't be out on the lake. Don't go on the river because there are super, super inexperienced people out right now riding jet skis and boats and pulling them around. I remember one year I was watching everybody around Memorial Day, and the guy didn't hitch his boat right, and I heard this horrendous sound. I could hear it over my own four-wheeler, and I look back, and the boat had come off of the trailer hitch and was digging with the post this huge rivet into the asphalt. And the guy jumps out and is like, oh, fuck, you know, he's like trying to jack the thing up and get it back on there before anybody sees him is what he's trying to do. So let me explain real quick without explaining. Hey, York Grinch, happy Turkey Day. Happy to you and your family and whatever it is you guys decided to do. So the holiday brings on all kinds of drama, and without spilling out a whole bunch of information, and I don't really know all the details to tell a whole bunch of... Oh, I love how you called her Nad. That's funny. He said, hey, Nad. My roommate got himself into a bunch of trouble. Legally, I'm very intelligent, so we're not going to go into a whole lot of details on this, but he's made a lot of mistakes over the past couple months. Some of them are issues that could put my son and I into a precarious situation. So he is not with us anymore. He's still my friend, you know. There's some weird, hard feelings about that, because anybody who will continually put you into a situation that leaves you concerned for your well-being and your child's well-being, it gets weird to call them your friend, okay? Yeah, I wish he would have just listened to me, Beanie. No, he didn't die, but it feels like a death. Have you ever, like, lost a good friend or known that you had to get rid of an old partner or a friend or a family member because they were toxic and causing you trouble? It feels almost like they've died. It almost feels like they're gone, right? And so he is gone. He's been arrested. And I don't think he's going to get out anytime soon. Okay? On top of my dismay and stress over the trouble he caused himself, and what I can say as a safeguard and a warning for many of you, this all started with him helping to put an old dog out of its misery. Be careful out there. This is why I tell you all to study. Hey, Rock, good to see you. I've got one of your stories to cover. This is why I tell everyone to be so careful. This is why I tell you to look up on the laws in your area. This is why I keep a lawyer. I have a retainer fee I pay every month and keep a whole school of lawyers behind me that cover me nationwide, okay? The anticipation of which being the reason many stay in bad relationships. Very good point, Asher. Me, I'm more of the nip it in the bud early. I'm more of the I'm glad I found out about this now. So this put my son and I into an awkward situation because for any of you that have watched and really paid attention, I have a house and it's 2 houses. So he actually lives next door. And I have been over there cleaning up and looking for some money envelopes. And I'm not happy with any of this. You know, I've found a lot of stuff that shows that he's been very dishonest about a lot of stuff. It's been rather heartbreaking. So, right on time, Beanie put up this GoFundMe. We had to start a GoFundMe, but as I've said before, if people can't afford it, do not donate, number 1. Number 2, I think I've already worked everything out. I'm pretty smart and I'm a pretty hard worker. I let everybody around me know. I've already figured a bunch of stuff out. I've been offered more jobs than I know what to do with. I've gotten help from some friends. Someone's donating us a car for Christmas. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to afford that. And then a friend offered to put us on their insurance and pay for it for at least a year. Don't forget the message I left you. Oh, Kenny, I'm going to have to think hard about that, but I believe you. Hello, dog haters. Oh, and if I don't address your comments here... Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. There, I can make all the chats visible. I'm doing this new thing with the phone. Hey, really, Bluey. So I'm just learning how to operate the phone here, so I apologize. Oh, wow, that's awesome, a new car. Yeah, well, I do a lot of volunteer work, and I help a lot of people, and I really believe you kind of manifest those kind of things. So people really want to help, and they want to step forward and help us, and they see me doing the right things, like the whole sober thing and not screwing up my life. And that's what I was telling someone. Whatever your vice is, be it you're a dog-obsessed weirdo and one day you have to wake up to the fact of that and make some changes. Or say that you're a person that has, like, addiction problems, which also could be dog people. Or say that you have some kind of drug problem or an aggression problem or this and that. You're supposed to stop. Ah, yes, thank you. You're supposed to stop at some point and be like, hey, I need to address this, okay? I need to... Vice, baby. Christian. You have to address these things and get a hold of yourself if you want to be a decent person. So everybody has noticed that over the years I've made a ton of changes and done a lot of good things, and that I'm all about my son and all these things. And so that pays forward. You manifest these kinds of things. So we're doing it. I know, I'm dying. Christian's so funny. That's why we have a whole section of our channel called The Stuff That Christian Does, which I can't cover right now because I'm using the phone and those are hidden on my phone. But what we will do is I'm going to pull up my emails and we're going to cover a couple things and I'm going to shut the hell up. And, well, I'm never going to shut the hell up, but I'm going to shut up about other stuff and I'm going to move on to some other things. Where, oh, where has this little dog gone? Here it is. I found it. All right. Let me move the phone and move the computer, and hopefully that doesn't alter all my service and screw me over. Oh, I was just telling Beanie Girl on the phone because she helped us out tremendously. As soon as she heard there was a problem, she's like, dude, here, we've been helping Beanie for a while, and then she helped us right back, and then that's the way this works, and there's so much to be grateful for, and that's one of them. I'm so glad I met her and can call her my family and call her if I need her and vice versa. This article came from a Norwegian dog hater. She has a channel. I have not been able to edit and put her channel link up or anything. I'm not going to be able to until Monday, so I have a lot of editing to do and a lot of work to do this week because I'm doing everything on my own now. So if I don't find a roommate for my other house or things don't work out in the future, I guess I have a guest house. So y'all feel free to come visit. I don't know. So let's get into this. She translates this article for me. Okay. And I'll when I edit, I'll put the links up. She says, here they say that a Staffordshire Bull Terrier is called a nanny dog and are told are very popular in Norway because they are so very nice with children. This dog nuttery insanity. Norway is full of dog nutters. I live in Norway, and all about pets on Norwegian broadcasting TV, it's called NRK, is filled with dogs, and more dogs. Okay? The article translated. Best friends. Anne Bergensen, 29 years old, mourns the loss of her terrier, Julie. You love how they call it a terrier instead of a Staffordshire Terrier, right? Which she had since the summer of 2016. The terrier was attacked by a dog in a kennel and died the next day. When Anne Bergensen was able to pick up her dog at the boarding home last Friday, a larger dog suddenly attacked. Pets equals dogs, exactly. Saturday morning, that little terrier, the little terrier was like a little terrier, like a Yorkshire, excuse me, died in her arms, all right? She says she delivered her dog, a 9-year-old terrier of the Jack Russell Terrier breed, on Monday. The original plan was that she would relocate due to busy work days, but then changed her mind. After several in the family had promised to help them with dog care. Wednesday, I called the manager at the dog center to see if I could reverse the agreement. I was allowed to do that. She came back to pick up the dog Friday morning, okay? When I walked toward the yard, I saw the dog standing there with another dog who was much bigger. I walked over to say hello. She ran toward me when she saw me. A few seconds later, the dog attacked. It grabbed my dog's throat and started to shake her. She had the dog for over 5 years, okay? 29-year-old believes that she did nothing that should have triggered the other dog to attack. Remember, this is being translated, so it's a little rough. I didn't know it was aggressive. I also did not know that the dog was living with another dog in the air yard. That's what they call the open area that the dogs all go to. According to Bergeson, it was not possible for her to enter the enclosure. Okay? I saw right away that this was not going to end well. I called for help and ran into the reception office, but there was no one there. And before the general manager arrived, no one could separate the dogs. It was bitten in the neck. Okay? Blood was flowing. She took the dog with her in the car and drove to the nearest animal hospital, which was an hour's drive away. There, the dog had received treatment. Very traumatic experience, alone in the car and stressed and scared the dog would die. At the animal hospital, she was sewn together with several stitches. The dog also had a drain inserted. And after treatment and observation, she was released. Okay? She'd been attacked by this bull terrier. During the night, the dog got worse. In the morning, it was breathing heavy, and blood and brown mucus was coming from the mouth. She vomited. These are signs that the dog's definitely going to die. She says the dog did not deserve to die that way. Okay, and so now she's going to go on for a couple minutes about the dog. We're going to go past that. The manager, the general manager of the kennel, says, if I had been there, this would not have happened. I prevented the dog from going after other dogs, but unfortunately I was not there. According to the manager, it was a Staffordshire Bull Terrier who snapped and got a hold of the other dog. Staffordshire Bull Terriers are one of the most common breeds in Norway and is called a nanny dog because they're usually good with children. According to the manager at the dog boarding house, the two dogs had been together all week without any problems. It came as a shock to me when I got a phone call the next morning that the dog was dead. It had been almost 24 hours since she left me. Oh, jeez. 2 dogs will die for this, so that only makes it worse, they say. I am very hurt that the owner lost their dog in such a tragic way. It's tough for all of us to get through when you love dogs. One often wonders if it is even worth it. Those are the words of the general manager of the boarding facility. The dog had external wounds in the neck, internal wounds in the mouth, bleeding from the mouth. We had stopped the bleeding and sutured the wounds. Afterwards, we kept it for observation for a few hours, and when the dog was discharged, it was breathing on its own. He emphasizes what could have been done for the dog on Friday was done. So that's that. The motherfucker's dead. Hey, Sam. Oh, no. Anyways. All right, let me search through these emails. I had specific ones I wanted to make sure and talk about. Not that one. Got part 2. You see how long this one is? Okay, it's pretty short. So we've got a little bit from Morpheus here. And this is part 2 of colonialism and zoonotic plagues. Okay? Hey there, I hope you're staying healthy in this dog-diluted matrix of ours. I wanted to do a brief follow-up on my previous email on colonialism and zoonotic-induced plagues. This time delving into further detail on the differences between New World indigenous American type dogs and Old World European dogs, and how these differences between breeds contributed to the mass extinction level style plagues which devastated the American Indians. My God. I'll check you guys out in a minute. First off, I'd like to start by saying, while virtually every culture in human history has utilized the services of dogs in some way, shape, or form, they did not seem to be as big a threat to their handlers or the environment around them as other European counterparts. In fact, zoonotic diseases, at least for the Native American tribes, were virtually non-existent. Not to say these people didn't get sick from time to time, but they weren't ravaged by continuous plagues and diseases. The Indians were in contact with a myriad of animals, such as deer, buffalo, bear, snake, eagles, etc. But the only animals they domesticated... I gotta keep my shit here, hold on. Oh, I gotta find out where I went. The only animals they domesticated were wolves and llamas. Considering the fact people were hunter-gatherers, they had no real need for livestock. With this in mind, there are 2 major things to take into consideration. One of them being that wolves they domesticated into dogs retained most of their wolf-like features, such as their ability to howl instead of bark. The other aspect is the fact that their dogs never really made them sick. It wasn't until they made contact with Europeans that these problems really began to manifest. As a matter of fact, in a recent study conducted at Oxford University, researchers now believe that Old World European dogs played a massive role in wiping out the indigenous American dogs all alone, and most likely these deaths were caused by zoonotic diseases which they had no prior exposure to. This only begs the question as to why these newer breeds from Europe were so deleterious and dangerous in comparison to their American counterparts. After all, at the end of the day, they're just dogs, right? Well, the answer to this is quite simple yet profound. Modern dogs are mutants. Now, you may have heard the term mutant get thrown around a lot, but what exactly does it mean? According to Wikipedia, in biology and especially in genetics, a mutant is an organism or a new genetic character arising or resulting from an instance of mutation, which is generally an alteration of the DNA sequence of the genome or chromosome of an organism. It is a characteristic that would not be observed naturally in a specimen. Furthermore, mutants arise from mutations occurring in pre-existing genomes as a result of errors in DNA replication or errors of DNA repair. Errors of replication often involve translation synthesis by a DNA polymerase, and when it encounters and bypasses a damaged base in the template strand. A DNA damage is an abnormal chemical structure in DNA, such as a strand or a break in an oxidized base, whereas a mutation, by contrast, is a change in the sequence of standard base pairs. Errors of repair occur when a repair process inaccurately replace a damaged DNA sequence. The DNA repair process is particularly error prone, okay? So, in layman's terms, a mutant or a mutation is an error, an anomaly, of nature, and that couldn't be a more accurate description for man's best friend and child-mauling companion, Fluffy. And we know these things are mutants just by the way they look and behave. Take the floppy ears, for instance. They serve no practical purpose in the wild and are optimal breeding grounds for bacterial diseases. Similarly, the deformed faces of certain breeds, which is called brachiocephalic, okay, in case you didn't know, are also impeded as they make it real hard for the mutt to breathe or groom itself. Or how about a dog's inability to hunt? They are entirely dependent on humans for food, as their only method of feeding themselves is by scavenging. And let's not forget their iconic bark, which in itself is a far cry from the howl of a wolf. All of these anomalies are man-made and have no real benefit in the natural world. But I digress. As I mentioned earlier in this email, the indigenous dogs of America were believed to be more wolf-like. Unlike modern dogs, these were natural animals. As a matter of fact, one could argue that these dogs were basically indistinguishable from wolves with some very minor difference. They seem to have coexisted with natives just fine with little to no problem. Not to mention the Indians probably didn't share the same infantilized delusion of viewing dogs as fur babies as modern Westerners do today. Now, if researchers can conclude the modern dog diseases played a major role in killing off indigenous dogs of America, who's to say that these very dogs weren't responsible for killing indigenous people themselves via those very deadly diseases? For example, we know that from 1615 to 1619, the Patoué Indians, a native tribe that was part of the Wampanoag Confederation, were virtually obliterated by leptospirosis, a severe zoonotic bacterial infection which causes kidney and liver damage. Researchers theorized that European colonists had spread this disease due to being exposed to rat urine while they were on board ships. However, this theory does not hold scrutiny, as it's now admitted by most animal experts that rats, especially domesticated ones, are significantly less likely to spread zoonotic diseases to humans compared to a dog or a cat. In fact, it is openly stated by the EPA that dog waste is an environmental hazard. Now, I'm not implying that dogs are the only animal capable of passing on zoonotic infections, but they are by far the main culprit of zoonotic disease by virtue of them being mutants. It's my theory that the majority, if not all, of these plagues associated with post-contact Native American tribes are of canine origin. After all, the Indians had pretty much been exposed to the same animals in America that the Europeans had brought with them. Wild American bison, for example, are pretty much identical to domesticated European cows. And there's recent archaeological evidence which shows that horses at one point were in the American continent before Columbus had even gotten there. The main difference between old and new world critters is that Indians never really domesticated any livestock animals aside from wolves and llamas. Yet, They never had any widespread plagues that threatened the existence of their people. No, this threat really only manifested itself when they came in contact with old world colonizers and their mutant fluffies. Again, it is already admitted by mainstream researchers that these newer breeds of mutt had a calamitous effect on indigenous dogs. Who is to say that the mutts had no effect on the people as well? However, it wasn't just Native Americans who experienced the worst of these plagues, but Europeans themselves. One plague that comes to mind just so happens to be the most ruinous pandemic in human history. For a mere 4 years, this disease decimated the European continent, reducing its population by 25 million, the equivalent of 60% of their population at the time. This disease is none other than the Bubonic Plague. Now, I'll have to give credit to IHD, because he's really the first one to come up with this hypothesis, but looking at the evidence, it's more than probable that the infamous bubonic plague, known as the Black Death, originated from canine mutants, and here are the reasons why. Firstly, I'd like to start off by defining what the bubonic plague actually is. In layman's terms, it's a bacterial infection caused by the non-motile Yersinia pestis bacterium. By the way, non-motile means it's incapable of moving on its own. Anyway, this bacterium usually seeks refuge in fleas, and those fleas are believed to be spread by rats. However, as I've reiterated time and time again, rats are highly hygienic and steadfast when it comes to grooming themselves. They'll often do it several times a day, which ironically was more times than the average human in medieval times, so I find it very questionable to pin the blame on them for spreading the plague. This segues into my second point. Dogs are super spreaders. They have a high blast radius, yeah they do, when it comes to shedding dander, as it's enough to saturate entire rooms with their fecal-ridden filth. And what's more, it can remain in said room for up to 6 months at a time, even after the dog has been removed from the home. So imagine what it's like having to live with that mutt 24/7. Furthermore, dog dander is rife with not only excrement, but a host of other things like mites, ticks, and yep, you guessed it, fleas. The same organism responsible for killing more people in Europe than Hitler 4 times over is being casually spread by dogs. And finally, what I think is the most definitive proof which points to dogs as the culprit of the plague is the mass persecution of Jews in the aftermath of that travesty. The surviving Europeans believe that because Jewish communities remained largely unaffected, that it was proof they were part of some clandestine conspiracy to kill off European population. They even went as far as to accuse them of poisoning the drinking wells with dead bodies. Nevertheless, these baseless claims resulted in numerous anti-Semitic riots across Europe, one of the most devastating being the Strasbourg Massacre in February 14th of 1349, which led to the deaths of over 2,000 Jews via burning. However, I think there's much simpler explanation as to why the Jews weren't as hard hit as everyone else. They had better hygiene, meaning they were less likely to live with dogs. In the Old Testament, which is basically just the Jewish Torah, and the Talmud, dogs are portrayed as violent, unclean, ungodly. For example, in Psalms 22:16, dogs are compared to evildoers. In Deuteronomy 23:19, dogs are compared to prostitutes. In the Talmud, it says that people who give false reports are no different than barking dogs. While dog ownership isn't explicitly banned in Judaism, they are heavily stigmatized and often associated with immoral behavior. Europeans, on the other hand, had the exact opposite outlook when it came to man's best friend. To quote from a History Today article on medieval dog culture, all in all, it is plain that modern dog lovers should not be too self-satisfied over their advances in the care and handling of their pets, nor need dog haters rage at the rising menace of the dog cult. None of it is new. Long ago, even in a rugged and often brutal era, men loved and trained and cherished an enormous number of dogs. Weird as these beasts may look by Kennel Club standards, their owners recognized and surrendered to their essential dogginess, engaging in the same, whether in Snub-Nosed Bricket or this year's Best in Show. So in conclusion, dog love, or the dog problem as some might prefer to call it, is at its core a human problem, and the humans in question are none other than Western man himself. That's right, the root of all dog nuttery is essentially the product of Western civilization. While I'm not necessarily bashing on Western civilization in its entirety, as I think it's provided us with a panoply of benefits, uh, such as our smartphones, computers, TVs, video games, internets, eyeglasses, cars, interstate highways, and all the medical advancements, excuse me. It's important to remember that these things are a product of the human will to create, and when that will has been shaken, when that will has been allowed to deteriorate to an animal-like level, so too will the quality of human civilization. If there's one thing we can all learn from observing history, is that the love of dogs isn't the problem in itself, but rather the love of dogs is merely a symptom which always foretells the collapse of a civilization. Finally, I'd like to wrap all this up by quoting the late Italian philosopher Julius Evola. What I'm about to say does not concern the ordinary man of our day. On the contrary, I have in mind the man finds himself involved in today's world, even at its problematic and paroxysmal, points, yet he does not belong inwardly to such a world, nor will he give into it. He feels himself in essence as belonging to a different race from that of the overwhelming majority of his contemporaries. The natural place for such a man, the land in which he would not be a stranger, is the world of tradition. So that was written by Morpheus. Thank you, Morpheus, for all that you do. We really do appreciate you. You do a lot of great stuff. I love the articles that you write and send in. It really helps around here. Let's see. What else do I have? Let's see if it'll play. Let me try. So, we'll see if it's going to work. Yeah, well, Christian, I thought you'd be specifically interested in that because I know you've been fighting the battle of, trying to talk to people about Judaism and religion and dogs being involved. And really, at its core, if anybody really gets into, most religions don't have great things to say about dogs. They use them as a slang, as a defamation, as, to bring someone down. It's to lie with dogs, and one will get fleas. Or like they said, I always like that one, someone who speaks, fake is no better than a barking dog, and these type of things. And people they just don't see it. They'll just flip it around to be something else that they want it to be. So it's rough. It really is. And of course, my service is rougher, so I'm not going to be able to pull up much. So what I can do is cover some of the articles that were written to me, and then we'll basically probably chalk this up here soon. I won't be able to do a comedy or anything else. Let's take a look at the live chat real quick, shall we? Let's see what you guys are up to. Hey, Morpheus, thank you. I did my best. I know I fucked up a couple things, and I've been way out of it. I'm glad to see you're here. I was hoping you would pop up and get to see everything. Yeah, I can only go back so far in a live chat here on the phone, which is interesting, but cool. Just what the fuck is wrong with people? I agree. Oh, the world's going fucking nuts. Yeah, didn't have the big bucks to save her dog. Exactly. You can regard this as a pest, Rock says. Someone who keeps a rat or a roach as a pet, I'm fine as long as they keep it for themselves and not disgust anyone in public. Actually, I was just talking to someone about that the other day that actually owns a dog, and they were saying, I get it, no wonder you hate them. Why can't they keep them to themselves? Why do I have to have their pets in my yard? Why do I have to deal with all of this? And I'm like, well, you shouldn't have to. I should be able to walk down the road with my son without having a dog running at us. Being just what I was just saying. Exactly, Shamina. I believe that's you. Oh, no, it's Shams. Hey, that's what I'm saying. I should be able to walk down the road without having a dog coming at us. I shouldn't have to worry about the future of my son playing outside. And I've made the joke over and over, but it's not really a joke. And I'm like, I'm going to dress up like a sniper, or I'm going to disguise myself as a bush or a rock and be sitting outside watching my son to make sure he's safe while he's playing. As you changed the name. Sorry, it's okay. So is it Shamina? And you changed your name to Shams? I just want to make sure I'm keeping up. Yes. skipping over dog poops, we covered that the other day about, you know, here's the top 10 cities that you have to, and they literally say in the article that you have to look down. Oh, cool. Well, at least I know. I was like, wait a minute, I thought it was the picture, and then I looked at the name, and I'm like, yeah, they listed these cities off, and they said it like as a joke too. They're like, make sure to look down every 5 to 10 seconds if you're walking through this city. Are you serious? That's not funny. That's disgusting. I have to look down just to be able to walk because this world is insane. So, I would love to cover some more stuff, but as I explained to everyone, and for anybody who missed it in the beginning, I live in a tourist city, which is awesome. It's so nice to be in a beautiful place that so many people want to be. I've lived in a lot of great places. I lived in Camano Island in Washington. For anybody who doesn't know, that's Puget Sound. And very desirable place. And the couple people there would bitch, and I'm like, it's a beautiful place. Of course people want to be here. You know, they're not here all the time, so just deal. I'm not a tourist hater. The phone service thing has been, like, kind of annoying, but it's a holiday. Of course everybody's here visiting their family. They all want to be here. If you had a choice, and you could go to Lake Havasu, yes, if you could go to Lake Havasu, Arizona, or, Nebraska in the middle of the winter, where do you want to spend your holiday? If you've got grandparents here in Lake Havasu that have jet skis and four-wheelers and they live right on the lake and the sun is beautiful and it's a perfect temperature this time of year, it's so nice out. Yeah, you're going to want to go there. I get it. I live here. I think it's great. So yeah, the only negative side effect is, though, the cell phone service. And Wi-Fi doesn't change it or anything. Trust me, there's just not enough to go around. So, fuck Fluffy. Am I right? Fucking things. Mutants. Thank you, Morpheus, Sausage of the Century, for writing that glorious article. Oh, I have barely even been able to be on the phone, let alone answer text messages. Beanie threw up the GoFundMe earlier. Christ X Star has helped. Beanie's helped. Jan helped. A whole bunch of people have pitched in. I really appreciate it. This is a really good time to donate and help. I made the joke on the Facebook channel. I said, I won't be able to continue the crusade if my son and I live under a bridge. Service there will probably really be bad too. So, you know, if you like what we're doing, you have a review and you want to help out, please donate and help me and my son get through this. It was a whole kick in the uterus that I didn't see coming. But I'm going to fix everything because I'm a bad motherfucker and everything's great. And I'm making it work. And thank you to Christian for helping share it. Plus, I have a lot of people who have been watching me horse train and stuff for years. Yeah, I'll put up, and I promise I'll get the descriptions and stuff, but it's going to be a couple days. I got to wait for this service interruption. So yeah, any help we can get from people is truly appreciated. But to be honest, like I said, I've already been on it for the past 2 days since this happened. And I've got this. Because I'm a bad motherfucker and I don't play around. I'm not a procrastinator. I keep up with the laws. Christian and I share that in common. I think that's one of the reasons we get along. We don't agree about everything, but we both stay very conscious of the law, as I would encourage you guys to do. As I said, this whole thing that took place at my house, yeah, you need to get a hold of me, Kenny. Even my email's in the description. Throw up my email if you could, Beanie. That way, Kenny has it. And get a hold of me. Let's have a conversation. I'd love to talk to you. And we might have had, like, a brief conversation, like, but, you know, I've had a lot going on. So if I don't remember right now, I apologize. My brain's like, As many of you know, as I talked about it, I have multiple sclerosis. So the stress can be really bad on me. So I've been just staying real calm. I tried to join in IHD's live chat yesterday. I got in, I made a comment or two, and then I was like, I can't fucking do this today. I'm just not feeling it. I'm stressed out. I'm sad. I'm grieving, you know, the loss and concerned. But after making some phone calls and getting on everything, I don't have anything to worry about. Everything's going to kick ass. I'm pretty smart, and I'm a hard worker, and everything's going to be fine. It's, kind of weird. Like, though, It's weird. I don't know why it's so weird. I mean, I've lived alone in the past, but it's just kind of odd because it just like happened so fast. So, you guys know anybody who lives in Arizona that wants to live in a beautiful tourist town? I have a guest house for rent. It's awkward. I know, you're wonderful. So we got the GoFundMe going. Let's see, what else? I feel like there was something else I wanted to bring up before I wrapped all this up. Can't remember. Thank you. I will, I promise. I'm pretty tough. I've been working out. I'm like stronger and happier than ever, and eating well and taking care of myself. And my son and I say, fuck, I'd be all over. It's a great fucking little house. And my son's tiny Christmas tree. I mean, it's cute. Stupid shit. I hate holidays. Like, I'm a Grinch. Yeah, no. Let's see. What else? Yeah, I really feel like there was something else I was supposed to say, and it's totally slipping my mind right now. So, fuck it. Must not have been that important. Yeah, we'll be back to live streams. I've been the same way lately. I just have to step back from YouTube a bit. I noticed you hadn't been around, Orc Wrench. I dig it. I dig it. I've just been taking a short break. I need a break. Like trolls and stuff and all that shit. Hey, Gabriel, they don't bother me. Like, I don't get offended. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't go to bed at night like, I'm a broomstick. Oh my God, and I can't sleep. Or like, No, but it does kind of take its toll. And I know some people really enjoy it. They're all like, oh, I think it's funny. I have fun with it. They like to torment people. Dude, cool. I'm not judging. I'm just speaking from my own perspective. It gets to be a little much and I need a break. So I've been drinking my tea. I had like a nice iced rose latte that I made here at home because I'm a dork. And yeah, it's been interesting. Like, I'm just happy to have someone to talk to. I've been making a lot of new friends. I made an old lady friend today. Yeah, you do. You just recreate trolls groups. Christian he is so funny. He could be trolled in a group, and then he'll go create a group with the exact same name and invite everybody to it and start picking on everybody. Yeah, they get kicked off the live stream, but it doesn't stop them from showing up in all the comments and carrying on to me. And I've heard so much stuff. I'm just like, okay. It doesn't bother me, but I do need a break just from technology as a whole sometimes. So the service interruption right now has been almost welcome, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm trying to do several things that I really need to get done online. So let's see, we'll wrap this up. I'm gonna go, you should think dog owners would have enough to tending to their dogs. Half of them really, yeah. Well, in between finger bangings, they make time. Those that mind don't matter. Those that matter don't mind. I like that. Anybody else have any great statements to throw at us? They say we're the haters, yet they go out of their way to make accounts and troll. Said, yes, let's continue this crusade against mutts and their enabling owners. I always love that one. That's a great saying. Yes, stop finger banging your dog. What's up, Yusuf? Good to see you. We're actually about to wrap things up. So, guys, like I said, if Fuck Fluffy at 5, Fridays at 5 doesn't come on at 5, it's because I don't have the service, so look for it to happen later at night, okay? Dog owners need a place to direct their anger, so they direct it toward people who don't like dogs. That's true, Christian. That's very true. So we'll wrap this up. Until next time, fuck Fluffy. From the bottom of my dog-hating heart, I wish all of you a wonderful weekend with your families. And if you're like me and you don't have families, then just have a good weekend by yourself. This is a perfect opportunity to wine and dine yourself or masturbate or something. It's really good for your abs, and like your mental health or something. So, make love to yourself. Nothing wrong with that. Fuck Fluffy. Love you guys. Always good to see you. I am going to finish wrapping these presents and take some time and drink some Mike's lemonades. He says, I'm sober. I keep myself completely clear. I do have a big family. You're right, Kenny. I keep my mind and everything clear. I had spent all of my life drinking and snorting cocaine and smoking weed and partying my ass off. For any of you that actually are on my Facebook and you were to look at it and go, oh my God, it's really weird to think about me being sober and clear-minded now because I never was. I literally lived snorting cocaine off of hookers' butts. I hope Emily's not listening to this. And drinking warm liquor and the stories, the things I could tell you guys, you would not even be able to digest it or understand. So I used to have a lot of fun, way too much fun. So now, the first time in my life for the past, it's been a year or so. Oh, good. I didn't want her to hear that I was snorting cocaine off hookers' butts or small, limp Puerto Rican penises, which both of those have happened. I am really happy to be clear of mind. You know, I really am. It's a whole different thing. I've never been sober in my life. I was always on something. So it's a really good feeling. It's weird. My emotions are so much better. I remember I used to react to things so heavily and get hurt so easily and just, and yeah, I know I'm aging as well. But you know, I'm sure Kenny's like, I'll understand. Like, I'm just happy to be, hey, Jonathan, good to see you. I'm just happy to be clear of mind and have good people in my life. And there's a whole transition for those of you that have never been through this. And I went through the same thing with the dog thing. When I stopped training animals and started stopping and going, this was my point earlier when I'm like, if you make a mistake, you're supposed to deal with that, see you, Sam, and say, hey, I fucked up. And so I said, like, hey, you know, this thing with training animals and dogs, do you guys ever think it's wrong for us to beat the shit out of a horse until it lets us ride it? Did you ever stop and think about that? And they're all, what are you talking about? Have you become some Hillary lover? And I'm like, I don't like any political party, okay? I was just saying, did you ever think it's weird? You ever think it's weird that we take a dog that wants to eat garbage and we beat the shit out of it for eating garbage and it's supposed to mark territory and we punish it for marking territory? We don't want it to bark, but that's what the fucking stupid things do. They bark. We get mad at them for everything they do. It's almost like taking on a partner that isn't someone that you like and trying to change everything about them so that they'll fit into your life. It's an extremely selfish, callous thing to do, don't you think? And man, everybody fucking turned against me. Yeah, humans have to dominate everything. It's a weird thing about us. And I used to be that guy. It's part of why I have the air about me that I do. My God, the people I lost, the shit that happened, you know, then the whole sober thing, and I'm like, hey, you know, my friends, you ever thought maybe snorting cocaine off of hookers and soft Puerto Rican penises isn't the best thing I could be doing with my Friday night? Maybe I should make some changes, you know? And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I think I'm gonna, like, not do those things anymore, and I want to start thinking clearly. Sure you just don't want a shot? And I'm like, no, I don't want a shot. I'm telling you I want to make some changes, you know? And they're like, I don't get it. You know? Dog nuts, ironically, flip out on their own mutant creations. You're absolutely right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and when I said all that stuff in animal training, it was like I was speaking some other language. Everyone just kept cocking their heads and looking at me and going, you know, yup, we humans say we love them, but we hate them for being what they are. That's what I'm saying. Like, you see the same thing in a partnership. And I know I was about to cut things off, but I'm sorry. I feel like I'm making a good point here. You know, I can see clearly now the dog is gone. Perfect. Yeah, it's, you know, you go into a relationship with someone and you're like, oh, you know, I really like you and want to be with you. And then they start honing in on all the things they don't like about you that they need to change. I don't like the way you dress. I don't like the way you eat. I don't like the job you have. I don't like the car you have. I don't like your sense of humor. It's just, it's weird how we do that instead of finding something that is compatible with us. You know? Something that wants to be around us, but we just have to dominate and change and flex, and it's so odd. So odd. Ban all dogs. I would love to have a chat with you on the phone tonight if you're free. I'd love to catch up with you. Let's see. Fuck Fluffy. I'm going to wrap this up because I can talk all day about the, sounds like the ending of every relationship. Exactly. And how many of them are actually successful? How many people just accept people for who they are? So I can talk about this all fucking day and night, and I constantly associate dog ownership with domestic violence. I was carrying on about it on the phone again last night, and my domestic violence guy was called Frank because it starts with an F and it's like Fluffy, and I'm like, oh, Frank, it was my fault, and Frank only hits us because I upset him. I shouldn't have touched Frank's pork chop and he wouldn't have attacked me. We need to go to behavioral therapy together, so all this shit. Yeah, if you got family and stuff and you're doing stuff, don't worry about it, but I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream and shut the hell up, and at least for now. And like I said, I'm going to shoot for Fuck Fluffy Fridays at 5, but service will probably get in the way, and we'll probably be here around 10 or 11 Mountain Standard Time. So until next time, protect yourselves. I'll see you guys soon. Orcrench, I'm glad you made it to spend some time with us. Thank you to the moderators and everybody else. You're all wonderful. Really happy I got to see you, Jonathan. Indiga, I'm so happy to see you, and I'll see you on both live streams tomorrow. And until next time, y'all take care of yourselves, protect yourselves, stay dog free. I'm out. I'm going to try to be out because I don't know how to operate this phone.